Hey everyone, today's video is just for fun. I'm on my back porch and I've been thinking today during these times of quarantine about 5 things I have always wanted to tell patients' parents. So please take this just for fun and do not be offended if you have done any of these things I'm about to share with you. So let's get started. And you know, this is just my opinion. There may be other opinions by other pediatricians. This is just mine, so this is not medical advice. This is just from me to you. First of all, if I am listening to your baby with my stethoscope, guess where these little guys are? In my ears. I cannot hear you talking to me. I can see your lips moving, but I can't hear what you're saying. So if you start asking me a lot of questions right when I'm trying to listen to your baby, just know that my brain can't process what you're asking and still try to listen for their breath sounds and their heart beating and listening for a slight murmur. You want me to focus on your baby, so quit trying to talk to me when I'm trying to listen. I'm not hard of hearing. I just have, a stethoscope in my ears. Now, that's number 1. Don't talk to me when I'm trying to listen. Number 2 is, oh my goodness, I have had families before, and we always ask, especially in the newborn period, if the baby is exposed to any tobacco smoke. And I happen to have an exquisitely sensitive sense of smell. That's a blessing and a curse. So let's say I walk into the patient's exam room and all of a sudden my eyes start to water, my nose starts to drip and it's twitching and itching, and I smell the overwhelming smell of tobacco smoke because it soaks into everything, the diaper bag, the baby's hair, the baby's clothes, everything. And then when I was younger, I used to say, "Is this newborn exposed to anyone who smokes indoors?" Very politely. And the family would say, "Why, no, ma'am, not at all. No tobacco smoke around this baby." And I used to think to myself, now, do they think just because I'm hard of hearing that I'm also hard of smelling? I can smell the smoke. My eyes are watering. So there's no point in being dishonest with me because I can smell it anyway. So now I've sort of switched up my strategy. I just start off with, "Oh dear, it seems that someone is smoking around this baby. Please make them go outside and change their clothes or shower before they're near the baby." Because we know, the baby can have effects of secondhand smoke, increased risk of asthma and prolonged colds and infections and such as that. So please don't smoke around your baby. But also, don't lie to me if I can already smell the tobacco smoke. So that's 1 and 2. Number 3, oh my goodness. I think sometimes parents might get a little bit misled by my excitement about the baby's stool color in the first week of life. So when newborns are very first born, their poops are meconium. They were already in there before the baby came out. So they're this black, tarry, sticky meconium you have to scrub. My husband's best tip is always slather their little honey with Vaseline just as soon as they're born so you can wipe off that sticky meconium. Well then, in the first week of life, as the mom's mature breast milk comes in, the stool color will change from black, sticky, tarry meconium to a lighter and lighter and lighter, from brown, brownish green, greenish yellow, eventually a bright yellow like mustard liquidy stool. Perfect. So if you tell me on baby's day of life number 3 to 4 that the baby's stools have lightened up to a bright yellow, I am thrilled. We'll do a little happy poopy dance. Yay, the baby's poops are yellow, mature breast milk is in, baby's gonna do great, because it binds up that yellow bilirubin pigment and gets rid of it and reduces their risk for jaundice, right? Well, here's what happens though. So when I get so excited and so emotional over this baby's stool color in the first week of life, you guys accidentally think that applies to the rest of the child's life. So I have parents calling me and the child's 15 years old and they want to tell me about the child's stool color. And guess what? I don't really care. I care about your child, but I don't really care about their stool color, because basically anything is fine unless it's completely, totally white and absent of all color. I mean like chalk, white chalk. Or if there's blood in it, of course that's a problem. But I don't need a play-by-play on if it's brown or light brown with streaks of green, or greenish with a little yellow and then some specks of brown. Yeah, I just don't. I don't care. I mean, maybe those things would matter to a gastroenterologist with some extreme, interesting scenarios, but for me, I really don't care. And oh my goodness, one of the things that happens to me, you wouldn't believe this. So I'm in the patient's exam room, right? And the mom, who's very excited to speak about the baby or the child's teenager's stool color, turns to the grandma. Now, when I walk into a room and the mom, and especially if there's multiple grandmas in the room, I know I'm in trouble because they've got an issue, they've got a concern, something that they brought grandma for backup to convince me of. So the mama will turn to the grandma and she'll say, "Mama, you want to get that out of your purse." And this is when I get scared. And the grandma reaches into her purse and I know what's going to happen. Sure enough, she pulls out a Ziploc bag, and wrapped in a tissue inside the Ziploc bag is poop. And the whole family that's there that day wants me to look at the poop, to touch the poop, and to smell the poop. So I'm telling you, on behalf of all pediatricians, unless it's a newborn, almost always, we really don't want you to bring any poop wrapped in a Kleenex in a Ziploc bag in Grandma's purse, please. Okay, then the next two are sort of related. Let's say your baby has had a fever at home, or your child or your teenager, and it's getting really high. And you know, we're completely scared if a newborn has a fever. Anybody under 2 months, huge workup, mandatory evaluation, no fun at all. And then we're also still concerned from the 2 to 12 months, and gradually with age we get less concerned about the height of the fever. But it does matter. Well, especially in children who are still young enough to have febrile seizures, that is the fever that triggers a seizure. That's about 5 months to 5 years generally. If the fever is super high, it could cause a seizure in the child. That's terrifying, right? So sometimes we'll have parents who'll come in, and this poor toddler is, literally 104, 105 degrees. And we say, did you give him Tylenol? Did you give him ibuprofen? And they say, oh no, we wanted you to see just how bad it is. So you wanted the baby to come in here and have a febrile seizure right here in the office? That's not cool. So I'm telling you, if you have Tylenol or Motrin at home and you have a doctor's appointment, we'll believe you. If you say, I checked his temperature and it was this, just write it down, keep a log. I promise you we'll believe you. We don't want the poor baby suffering or having a seizure just because you wanted us to see how bad it was. Please treat your baby's fevers. It's okay. Now, under 2 months old, that's a whole different thing, and I have another whole video on babies and fevers. That's a big deal. Now, the other one that happens is, let's say you have a child who wheezes. Maybe they have asthma, or they've wheezed after RSV in the past, but they respond to albuterol, that medicine you put in the nebulizer machine and give them a treatment or a rescue inhaler with albuterol. And the poor child started getting sick a few days ago, and they're wheezing their head off, and they're in distress nearly, and they're coughing, and they're pitiful. And so you make an appointment for him to be seen. That's great. And you bring him into the office, and I take a listen with my stethoscope, and they're wheezing to beat the band. And I say, oh dear, when was their last nebulizer treatment? When was his last puffs with his rescue inhaler and spacer? And you say, well, we didn't use that. Is that what you wanted us to do? Yes, that's what I wanted you to do. That's why you have a nebulizer machine at home and why I prescribed albuterol last time this baby wheezed. Or you'll say, just like with a fever, I wanted you to see how bad it was. Guys, I don't want your baby or child in respiratory distress. If you have the blessed albuterol at home to treat it, treat it. I'll believe you when you tell me that they were wheezing, and I can send in refills, I promise. So that was just a few little things I wanted to share with you. Another quick one is, this isn't on the official top 5 list, but this is so precious though. So I have this sweet story. A lot of times we need to see in the baby's ears, and for some reason babies hate for us to look in their ears, and I try to be so careful and so gentle and not go too far down in the canal, but they just don't like it. And part of it is we have to hold them still. We don't want them, like bucking up against us and us poking it in and hurting them, right? Well, one time I had this baby, and babies get super strong and turn into an octopus when you're trying to hold them still and look into their ear to visualize their tympanic membrane. And this sweet daddy was trying to hold the baby. The baby was kicking and screaming like we were killing it. Well, he finally got the baby into a pretty decent hold, and I was having to help stabilize the head because, if that head's not still, I can't see. The target's moving and it might hurt the baby. So I had my hand holding the otoscope and the other hand on the baby's head trying to stabilize it. And the daddy was trying to soothe the baby. And he didn't know this, doesn't know it to this day, and I don't remember the baby's name. So I'm not breaching HIPAA, I'm just telling you a cute story. Oh my goodness, you guys, it was all I could do to keep a straight face. The daddy was kissing my hand the whole time because I was trying to hold the baby and he was trying to comfort the baby, and he was just all over my hand, and it was all I could do to keep a straight face and focus on see this baby's eardrum so I can get my hand off of the baby's head. Oh, we have some funny things that happen in those exam rooms, guys. I hope this has been helpful. I hope it made you chuckle during these times of quarantine when we're all going a little bit stir crazy. Please stay inside and stay safe. Thanks.